Ready to go?
Everybody alone?
All right. Hi, Judy.
I'm just gonna make it closer for the camera.
Yeah.
There you go.
So it's 3 o'clock. We'll get started. And my agenda here, postponed meeting from originally January 8th.
12.
Sorry? Oh, minutes, sorry. The minutes are from February 12th, right?
Minutes are from January.
Minutes are from, sorry.
That's
Sorry.
okay.
This meeting is
reset, Charlie.
postponed from February
12.
12th. Thank you. That's what I was trying to say.
That's,
So we have the minutes from January 8th for approval. Do I have a motion to approve?
so moved.
Second. All in favor? Aye. All right, so minutes are approved. Chair's report. I just want to thank everybody for sending in their thoughts about 2025 priorities. And it was interesting to see where everybody's interests lie. And I guess we'll discuss later this meeting, kind of how to use those. But also in local news, exciting to see, we talked about the Mexican restaurant. I don't know if anybody's been there, but, and then that there's some
That
interest.
one, let's just tell where it is.
It is where Farmer's Table used to be.
Yep, just so everybody knows.
Sure.
Anybody listening?
Yep. I have not been there, but I hear good things. And then the old Pizza Hut building, I understand there's some interest there for a potential.
The building
Business?
has been purchased, and I cannot remember the noodles.
Asian noodle
Asian noodle.
type restaurant.
There we go.
I
Nice.
think it was another Mexican place, but I guess I had that wrong.
Originally, the Farmer's Table was interested in that building. That did not pan out. So, yeah, you didn't have it wrong.
Okay.
That just didn't work.
We have some good speakers in the works, including Aaron Silva today. So I know Jamie wants some feedback on future approval, at least we had talked maybe about approval of the
Later in
speaker
the agenda.
lineup. Okay,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep.
Nope, just, but that'll, I think, go hand in hand a little bit with some of the discussion about the priorities and how we're going to use those. I attended the Queen Anne's County Economic Development Commission meeting this morning, just to get an idea of what our neighbors are doing. It was interesting, they did mention that Avail move and expansion to Kent County and leaving, or not expanding in Queen Anne's County, so that was interesting. And that's about all I have. So we have guest speaker Aaron Silva online from the GISP, Project Manager for Eastern Shore GIS. Delmarva Index is going to talk to us about Kent County data.
Yes, good afternoon, everyone. Can you all hear me okay?
We can.
Okay, wonderful. I apologize for not being there this time in person, but thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to be there virtually. Yes, so I was there, I believe it was November, and I presented lots of resources that we have on the Delmarva Index. And Jamie asked that I come back and just kind of go over some of those in a little bit more depth. I think we did hopefully provide the slideshow that I used last time, and this is completely. I have a few things that I want to jump into that I thought would be interesting to the group. But if any of you have looked at that slideshow, or it's actually called a story map. But if you have any specific questions on any of the resources that you may have explored since our last meeting, I'm happy to pull those up and talk about those as well.
And Aaron, yes, that was shared after the November meeting, but I can send it around again for everyone's, convenience as well.
Great. Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. I'm going to kind of start with that same story map, but I'm going to quickly kind of move over to maybe some live demo. My network seems to be cooperating today, so hopefully that live demo will work out. So let me share my screen. You all can see my screen?
We can.
Yeah, I can see it up there on that other monitor. That's very nice. So I'm going to skip all this intro kind of stuff about who we are at the SRGC, and I'm going to kind of skip over this, but please raise your hand, speak up if you have any questions as I go along. I'm happy to answer and have a conversation rather than just me talking to you. just a reminder on this slide that all of the resources that you will see today are available on delmarvaindex.org. We are getting close in the next couple months to launching a new redesigned, optimized website for Delmarva Index. So it will look a little different, but it will all be good things, good improvements, helping you get resources quicker and more intuitively. These are just some of the resources that we have on the Delmarva Index. I will focus on, and I honestly don't remember if we got through all of the resources last time, but I thought just because of the timing, you might be interested to see the latest business sentiment survey results. So we just got those results from our winter survey. It was conducted in January primarily, January 1st through like the first week of February, I believe. And we've just gotten those results up on the website. And unfortunately, sentiment is down, I think, overall in sort of all counties. Sentiment is down sort of locally and regionally. But I think that's probably not any huge surprise. We put out a few different products of that survey. This on your screen to the right is our infographic. So just a really quick sort of comprehensive roll-up of all of the responses to that survey. And we often include a comparison to the last survey. So you can see here, respondents sort of thought that in the looking forward in the next 12 months, that business conditions in their counties are not going to really improve much. Only 39% said that they would improve. This is down 29% from the last survey. Conditions in their primary business sector will improve. Only 42% thought that that was the case, which is down by 8%. So I won't go through each and every one of these because I kind of want to show you another tool that we have for exploring these responses. Well, one of them is this report here on the left. You can, and when Jamie shares this out again, you can click on all these underlined links and get right to that report, which also includes the infographic. But another way to explore these results that's not public facing, but Jamie will have access to this. And I don't know if I've shared, it's behind a username and password. So Jamie, I am happy to share this with you. We kind of keep that behind a username and password because it does kind of contain some, when the survey responses are low, as they are on some of the questions, like when you can really drill down, as you'll see, into the county, the primary business, the occupation, like the industry sort of thing, you can get down to where only a few people have answered that question. And confidentiality, we don't want to have that public facing. But it is important for you all to see at your county level so you can maybe think about strategies and ways to address those issues. But there's
Erin?
two different ways.
Oops,
Yeah.
I just have one quick point. I took that survey, and one of the things that I think influences it is the fact that the state is in such a budget deficit. So it's hard
Sure.
to extrapolate that it's county-specific when the state affects the county. So it's really kind of hard to figure out, you know, if a county is like, oh my God, the county's doing terrible because people are, you know, unfavorable. But I don't think it necessarily reflects the actual county survey county feeling about good or bad. Just wanted to throw that out in case it looks bad.
Okay. Okay. Well, I think that in general, all the counties are feeling pressured, I would say. So
Yeah.
I don't know that there's big differences between, like, say, Kent County and Queen Anne's or Wacomico or even the others on the western part of the state. But I will definitely express that. I'll carry that feedback back to John Hickman and his team. They really kind of designed the survey, and we're sort of on the back end just visualizing those
Sure.
results. But that's good feedback to think about. And we all know that there's lots of things. There's so much psychology involved in how people respond to these questions. So we got to keep all that in mind as well when we're looking at them. I'm going to enhance this, just zoom in a little bit. Hopefully you can see these a little better. I know it can be small. So this demographics part of the tool just kind of shows you who responded to the survey. And up here you can see this is our 7th or 8th survey. So we've been doing this for twice a year since 2021. And you all did a great job. And thank you, Jamie. I'm sure that you and your team helped get the word out on this survey because it is a massive effort just to get people to respond. And thank you for responding. We extended the time that it was available because our responses were pretty low. So again, thank you. You guys represented 16, almost 17% of responses. You had 26 people respond. So that's 4th in rank of all the counties. And you can really even drill into like who the demographics of those respondents, their occupation, the company size, the revenue and industry that they are representing. So that can be really interesting. And of course, you can go back and look at that over time. You can then, that's sort of just the quick demographics, but to get into the meat of it, you click Start Exploring. And these tabs just help us sort of chunk all 50 of those questions together into categories. And the first one is sentiment. Again, you have this drop down where you can filter the survey. We have the most recent one selected, and I went ahead and selected Kent County, but if you uncheck that, these are all of the responses. So if you're interested in just Kent, you can see, you can even further dive into this by, if you are really interested in just really small businesses, the company size 1 to 9 employees, 10 to 24. But again, you get such small numbers that, you know, if we had thousands of responses, that would maybe make more sense. But we just have these other options here if you really wanted to narrow down to a specific type of company and size and so forth. But nevertheless, looking at Kent County for this question right here, it says, I predict that in the next 12 months, business conditions in my county will be, so that's what all of this is visualizing. You can change the question if you're interested in how people, respondents from Kent County feel about business conditions in Maryland. You just select that question from the drop down. So we have 4 different geographies we look at here, how people feel about these questions in Maryland, in my county, nationally, and on the Eastern Shore. So you can really dig in there on how they're feeling locally, regionally, statewide, and the nation on business conditions, payroll and benefits, and unemployment. So lots to dig in there into there. I certainly don't have time to do all of those now, but just in general, what I like to look at is this graph, this pie chart here. The orange means that people are feeling less optimistic. They're not feeling so good. They think that business conditions in their county are going to be worse in the next 12 months. Green means good, and the gray means unchanged. When you hover those, you can see the number. You can actually see them over on the side as well, the number of people and what % that makes up. You can also see in what sectors, in what industries those people are coming from, to see like differences in sectors, how people are feeling in different sectors. And then down here below, how that has trended over time. We changed this a bit because now that we have 7 surveys, it started getting really hard to comprehend, and just maybe we don't even need to be looking back, you know, comparing results from now to 2021. So we thinned this out a little bit, and you can see that, you know, more than ever, this February 2025, people are feeling, 27% are feeling worse about business conditions in the year ahead. So that's just kind of an overview of how to use this. You have all those questions here. You can also dig into conditions, how people are feeling in their particular business sector. So conditions in this sector in the last 12 months, in the next 3 months, and in the next 12 months to see just how they're feeling. And again, red and orange is kind of indicating that they're not feeling so good, that they feel deteriorating slightly or a lot. And that's just kind of the case, of course, not only in Kent County, but in general as well. So when I unselect Kent County, you still see a majority of that being red and orange. Some other interesting things that you can dig into here that are also, like I said, visualized in the aggregate on that infographic, but barriers to starting a new business and expanding a business. You can look into each of these in a lot of detail. It might be more detail than you need. So when I use this, I usually so for example, you can look at how people are feeling about barriers to expanding a business in this sector regulations. It gets very nitty gritty. I'm going to change this to Kent just for our purposes, but I like to use this compare button. So you can compare all these barriers. And I'm going to zoom out just a bit. So in Kent County, businesses they responded that in terms of starting a new business in their sector, that finances and funding. So again, I just look at this and I see how much, which barrier has the most red and orange. And in this case, it's finances and funding. Second looks like inflation. And then I think we have regulations. So you can sort of see, and this was very similar to the overall infographic. So this is where we have it on the infographic in the aggregate. So we show finances and funding, labor force, inflation, regulation. I think in the case of Kent County, regulations showed up as a little bit more of a barrier. So you can view that as well as, so that's starting a new business. You can see how they responded to barriers to expanding a business as well. And again, finances and funding were a pretty big barrier, as well as inflation, regulations again. So that's kind of how to navigate those. And then impacts, these were, I went through and kind of compared what the aggregate sentiment was. And for this one, it was very similar to what we have on the infographic and what all the counties in aggregate thought. They said, so I wrote this down, insurance was kind of the number one, price impact on businesses, and then fuel, rent, and payroll were actually tied for number 2. Let's go back here. So again, you can click on this compare and then see that insurance, where's insurance? We have 16 respondents saying that insurance was the number one sort of impact. So just an example, I just wanted to kind of let you know that these tools are out here. You can really dive into this survey. We also have some questions related to remote work. Does your firm have remote work? Has it helped you? How many people, what % of your employees are working remotely? And then we have some standard of life questions. Over the next 5 years, I think standard of living in my county will be. So this is where we get some people, I think these questions may be at the end of the survey and not all respondents answer all of the questions. So actually on this question in Kent County, we only had 3 respondents. But a lot of people, well, 2 people think it's going to stay the same, with 1 person thinking it's going to decline. So just wanted to make sure that you knew those resources existed. And Jamie, if you are interested in meeting one-on-one, I'm happy to walk you through these in more detail, provide you that username and login if you don't have it already.
I do
but we
have it.
encourage you.
Yep.
Oh, wonderful.
Yep, thank you.
Erin, can you just run through the resiliency toolkit real quick? Just give a thumbnail, you don't have to run through it, but just give us a thumbnail about how we would use that and what it's for.
Yes, absolutely. So this is the, This is the original Eastern Shore Economic Resiliency Toolkit. And this was developed right kind of in the middle of COVID. We had EDA funds. The grant was administered through the Mitchell Regional Council and the Tri-County Council. And the Business Sentiment Survey is one of those resources on the Resiliency Toolkit. We have several dashboards right on the home page dealing with the health insurance. So you can see in your county, the number, the percent of, where's Kent County? There we go, first one in the list. So you can see by census tract, can zoom in there, get information about that, by age group. We also have information, very similar functionality for individuals above and below the poverty line. And then another one for county business patterns. We'll be updating this very soon with new data. I think there should be, oh, that's Queen Anne's. That's Kent. So you can see for Kent, the total employer establishments, things about the payroll, employment numbers, so the number of establishments, but you can also dig into this by sector by clicking these little tabs down below. You can see that in terms of the number of employees, healthcare and social assistance has the most employees. By the number of establishments, we have retail trade. So just some ways, some indicators about your economy, the makeup of it, and so forth. We also have, there were a few other, actually I just moved away, but there were a few other maps with many other indicators about daytime population. I think I went over those before. We have the Maryland tax revenue dashboards. This is using sales and use tax data from the comptroller's office. And we are anxiously awaiting the 2024 sales and use tax data. I have been in communication with several people from their office, so we hope to add that very soon. This, again, just keep in mind, this was developed in 2021. COVID was a big influence, obviously. So we have the COVID numbers in this line chart down below. That's not as big of an issue now, but you can go back several years, looks like maybe 8 or 9 years now, and look at tax collection by state, by county. And we have divided this by 6% to sort of estimate the revenue, to like extrapolate out what this means for actual revenue. And so when I click Kent County, we have the total revenue for all industries. These categories are how the comptroller divides this data up currently. I think that may change over time, but for total revenue in 2023, we have about 346 million. When you start to change these industries, you can see the percent of the total revenue that encompasses. We have some year-over-year statistics for that trend. We have the monthly trend line here, so you can see how that goes. The best and worst months for that year. Let's see. So,
Okay.
and then, was there a question?
No, I just want to say thanks. That's really helpful.
Oh, good. Great. And really there's 3 other ones on this page, but it's other permutations of that same basic data and layout. What the other ones allow you to do is multi-select different filters. So like this one is the across years. So if you're interested in comparing 2 or more years, this is the one you would want. So as you check these years on, you can see you get more lines on this graph. And don't know how well you can see it, but I'll zoom in a little bit. And then the other ones, if you're interested in comparing against other counties in Maryland, you would just come in here and select those that you are interested in. And again, as you add those, they become different lines on this chart. And then you can still select one or more, or sorry, just one from industry and fiscal year, and then across industries, multi-select from that industry drop down. So that's really the only difference on these other charts. And I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I just said cool.
Aaron,
good.
I was gonna jump in and just say, it's nice to see this objective data kind of next to the subjective business sentiment.
Right.
You know, kind of overlay the two to see how the figures affect the sentiment.
Yeah, that's a really good point. And we are all about, if I had to pick one, I'd say we're all about objective. Like I think the business sentiment survey is probably the only example that we have of that kind of subjective data, but it is good and it's very interesting and it's local. So that's a really great point. I guess I never thought of it like that, but it is a great combination of different data sources.
But this is
And-
really 2 to 3 years behind that sentiment data, so we just need to be careful there when we are comparing. Because this is
That's true.
Right,
FY
this is- right.
2023.
Yeah.
So the
So-
2023 is the most recent that they've got, or is it 24?
For this data, yes.
So
Yeah, where the
hopefully she'll get it up to
sentiments,
2024. soon.
2025, yeah.
But it's good because you
Yeah.
can take out the COVID years if you want to.
Sure,
To kind of
sure.
look at, trend without that.
right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm hoping to get the 2024 data soon. And then so we already went through the business sentiment survey, but I'm not sure if I showed you this page. When you go to this tab here, you'll see the reports from all of the surveys there. I actually don't think we had one for the first year, for the first survey in June of 21. So that doesn't exist here, but for all of the other surveys, it is there. Here's the infographic in biggie size, and then down below we have all 8 of the infographics here, and this is where you would log in to the dashboard down below.
Aaron, quick question. Is there a way in the business sentiment survey to compare one county to another, or you'd have to, no, you'd have
No,
to,
you can.
I don't think there is. It will aggregate
Let me
them.
jump and look
Oh,
at
no, it won't.
yeah, you just have to
It's
toggle
Yeah.
back and forth.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
good question though. And then the last resource on the resiliency toolkit is the tourism dashboard, which actually uses that same sales and use tax data from the comptroller's office, but really digs into the tourism industry. And this, I'm going to, oh, no, not that. There are buttons here down below that will link you to another URL where you can sort of blow this up and see it even bigger instead of being embedded in that other page. So this is just for the tourism industry, and it takes into account the tourism factors. So the tourism, State Department of Tourism and the Comptroller's Office, I'm not sure when this was put into place, but it's been this way for quite some time, and you all are probably very aware of this. They have gone through and decided which of those sectors in the sales tax data are attributable to tourism. They've kind of defined the tourism industry. Tourism can be a little tricky to define sometimes because it's in so many facets of life and of the economy. But they have decided that these, I think there are 8 sectors here that I've highlighted, and they've also assigned a tourism factor. So out of the sales, so we can then say how much of the sales tax is coming from automobile, bus, and truck rentals, commercial airlines, how much of that is attributable to tourism. And these are the factors that they have agreed on. And so we take that into account. We apply those factors to come up with those numbers that you'll see here. So all of that is kind of happening in the background. I just wanted you to be aware that that's some of the differences between this dashboard and the Maryland tax revenue dashboard. So really very similar layout. We kind of got rid of those COVID numbers because this development came later and our partners thought that we could use that space rather than showing COVID numbers, show maybe some year-over-year comparisons by month, just use that space in a different way. We have different views again across years, across sectors, and across boundaries, and we already kind of talked about what those mean. You can multi-select. We have the same number of years here available, with 2023 being the most recent. But again, you can just select Kent and see. Now there's, I know that I've talked to Cassandra and some other folks who have said some of these numbers are a little off for some of the years. There are some interesting things happening that the comptroller's office can't really explain fully for these most recent years, for 2023 and 2022. But hopefully they've worked all those issues out in 2024. But again, you can dig into each of these sectors that make up tourism. So if you are interested, for example, in seeing, let's look at sectors. So you can unselect all and just look at hotels with beer, wine, and liquor and without, and see how that is trending over time. What percent of that tourism revenue is coming from those sectors? You can hover over this and get, we have the total revenue here and adjusted, which is the same for these. I think that might be normal. Let's see here. I think the total revenue is what it would be on the Maryland tax revenue, and the adjusted is taking into account those tourism factors that I talked about. So I'm not sure why. Hold on just a sec. Sorry. Yeah, I'm not sure. Oh, because it's 100%. I just had a little bit of a panic moment. So hotels, motels, apartments, and cottages. I'm hoping you can see this pop-up that's coming up showing 2 million, was that 2 billion for hotels, motels, and apartments and cottages. The adjusted and the total is the same number because they have agreed that the tourism factor is 100%. So all of that revenue is attributable to tourism. But for restaurants and other sectors, we know that local people who aren't vacationing or traveling also eat out. So that's that. I have not been keeping a close look on the time. Do you have any questions on any of this, or were there specific tools on this toolkit that you wanted to talk about, ask questions about? I do have one other sort of tool that I wanted to show really quickly if I have time. If not, that's fine too.
Any questions right now? No, I mean, if you want to show us the other tool.
Okay, great. I will bar in front. I don't know if I got to this the last time. We had such a great response to the resiliency toolkit that after that was complete, it led to another opportunity with the Maryland Department of Commerce, again funded by EDA, to build more of these dashboards. And I think these will be very interesting to you all in Kent County. And again, all of these links are in that story map that I provided. We have 4 of them. We have the Maryland Manufacturing Industry Dashboard, the Maryland Manufacturing Workforce. So we're really digging in and looking at manufacturing from a lot of different angles. We also have the Maryland Transferable Skills, which talks kind of about the intersection of occupations and the employment projections moving forward. So what occupations are expected to grow and how many people are currently in that occupation? It's kind of trying to get at the skills gap. Like, do we have enough people to meet the growing demand of different occupations in different regions in Maryland? And if we don't, who can we upskill or reskill to meet those demands? So that one is a really interesting one. I'm not going to go through all of those. I kind of just wanted to show you the Maryland Economic Dashboard because it provides, these other three are very good, but they're very specific in manufacturing and occupations and that sort of thing. The Economic Dashboard provides a lot of different indicators in a lot of different sort of interesting areas. So when you click that one, this is our landing page. As you see, we have, I don't know, 8 or 9 tabs up here: demographics, education, housing, commute, income, employment, all sorts of things that you might be interested in. And I promise I won't go through each and every one of those, but I just want to give you a flavor of what you can explore and how to explore it. You can choose Kent County. But if you wanted to look at other counties or compare it to the state, you can also select that here. It will populate this graph here, this line chart. You won't be able to get the indicators here just because with Maryland, it wants to aggregate it, and that would be double counting things. So we've given people this message. Excuse me. But when you choose just one county, you can see the total population, median age, female, male, and how that is trending over time. You can hover the map and get some basic information here. And then there's this drop down. On many of the tabs, you have a drop down that allows you to switch between statistics. So right now we're just defaulting looking at the median age. You can look at, let's say, like the workforce population between 18 and 64, how that's trending over time. We have some percent changes, so it's down 4.6% from 2012 to 2023. So this is a one you could spend quite a bit of time exploring. I'll just point out a few things. We have this housing tab. I know that's such a major concern for a lot of people in a lot of places. So this can just kind of might be interesting to explore. And you see Kent County, that selection came over from where we had it selected there in demographics. You can look at the median home value, household income, gross rent, housing costs. You can compare Kent County over here on the far right. We can compare it to the state and the US. Look at it trending over time. And then, of course, you can select if you're interested in home value, how that's trending over time. And then I'll just point out the map. You can see very quickly how Kent compares to its neighbors and then the rest of the state. So lots of different ways to look at that data. You can select household income and housing cost to see how that's going over time as well. And then in addition, which I don't think we had in demographics, you have these other black tabs up here. Right now we've got housing costs selected. You can go to owner occupied housing and really like dig into that on the population in affordable house, or sorry, less affordable housing, compares household income to home value to give you a ratio to like say what is affordable. We've got a similar view for those renter occupied housing. You can again compare it to the state and the nation, look at it over time. We've also got information on commute, income, GDP, labor force by year and by month. So you do have to go in and select Kent again because this is a different data source, but anyway, this shows the Kent County unemployment by month, and we update this monthly, how it's trending month over month. lot of the same statistics and comparisons. You can also view this by year. I don't know why it's defaulting to Worcester there, but let's select Kent. Again, you can look at the map and see how your neighbors are faring in that labor force. And then just quickly over to employment, you can look at industries by ownership. So in Kent, as in I think many of the counties, the main employer is private business with 6,508 people employed in that sector. This data is coming from the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And as you select the private sector, you see that manufacturing has the largest number of employees. And when I saw that, that also really made me want to show you this because of those other two dashboards that we have that are specifically focused on manufacturing. So I haven't actually gone, I didn't, ran out of time. I didn't have time to go and look at the manufacturing dashboards and see what it showed for Kent, but I'd be interested to see what that would tell us. And then just federal government, transportation and warehousing, public administration. That might be something we want to keep an eye on just with everything that's happening. And then local government and then state government. You can see the number of employees, wages, and the industries that they are in primarily. But I don't want to overstay my welcome, but I'm happy to continue going on or answer any questions or go to another tool.
No, that's very interesting. I think we probably need to move on with our agenda, but yeah, no,
Thank
we
you,
really
Erin.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me.
Have a great day.
Thank you.
You too. Thanks.
All right, so staff reports.
Okay, let me start. I did want to mention Open Meetings Act. We do need to have at least one member of the commission certified. Is anybody currently certified in Open Meetings Act? It's about 2 hours max. It really doesn't even take
What
that
is it
long.
now?
Open Meetings Act
Oh, sure.
training. You are? Okay. So we have a person, so that's good, but I can email it to everyone if you would like. It's pretty easy, and it doesn't hurt to do it again if you've done it before, because it's always changing. So I'll send that around to everybody, but it's good to know we have at least one member, because that is a requirement. So biggest thing is we're trying to follow the legislation. I can say it's been fast and furious. I will give you one example. We received a message last night, after hours, that the Maryland Tourism Development Board is being cut by $6 million, so basically in half. It's being heard in the House today. It's being heard in the Senate on Monday, so we have to submit written testimony tomorrow and only tomorrow. The way that the testimony, and whether you're sending written testimony or signing up to speak in person, you have certain days and certain hours. So editorial comment, but I feel they're making it harder and harder for us to contribute to the legislation that's being passed. So.
In what respect?
That's one respect right there. So to submit written testimony in support or in opposition, it has to be submitted tomorrow and only tomorrow.
Okay,
So
so
if
the
I don't get
short-
it
the
done
short
tomorrow,
notice.
I can't do it on Friday.
Right.
So you have to do it that day, and you can't do it before it opens.
Can't do it before, you can't do it after.
No.
Yeah, it's,
So do you have talking points on that?
we're working on a letter now to get submitted for tomorrow, so
Can you
yes.
send us your basic talking points, and we can draft a letter tomorrow if we have time?
We're working on a letter.
Oh, you don't want members also, just you?
I don't think so.
Okay, that's
I
great.
don't want to bombard them. The Maryland Tourism Coalition is taking care of it as the state.
Oh, okay.
And then each individual DMO is working on it as well.
Okay, so that was fine with
Yeah,
me. I
thank
got
you.
enough of those
Yeah,
things to do.
There's 40 days left in the legislative session.
God,
So
only
40
40.
days left. It is budget season here in Kent County, so we are working on the budget. We've printed out reports. We've got to get all the keying and administrative work done. It's supposed to be completed by Friday. We do have an extension to get it completed next week. We have not been able to get it done. April 1st is Budget Day, where all departments present their budgets, and the county commissioners usually get an overview from Pat Merritt, the CFO, and then all of the departments present their budgets to the county commissioners. Katie's working on the website, continues to work on the website with the IT department. The IT department is the lead for all of the county websites, but Katie's been helping with that. And we're all working on updates to the business directory in general, but also in preparation for the new website. Start One Up planning, that is the pitch competition and entrepreneur event that we're having at Washington College again this year, is in full planning. It's April 15th. Rose continues to work on the museums and the intern and the brochures for the museums, so we still continue to work on that. We've not heard back on we requested a $5,000 grant to print those new brochures, but we have not heard back if we've gotten the grant or not, so we'll keep you posted. We are beginning to plan America 250 with a Kent County focus, so you'll hear more on that as we move forward. The Micro Ag Grant is accepting applications. They're due on Friday, February 28th at 5 o'clock. We've received 8 so far as of today. So we did advertise ETDC for interest forms, and as well as the Micro Ag Grant in the Tidewater Trader. So the Micro Ag Grant ad is there, and then we also put in, and we're boosting these on social media as well as other outlets. And then we did an ad for commission members. We have not received any interest forms, but we hope that it will spur some interest. We've been pushing it out on social media as well. I think that's it on that. I do want to talk about just in general. I love the priorities for the commission moving forward in 2025. But I will have to say there's a lot of things that we have talked about in the meetings that I don't feel is being heard or retained. So I do just want to talk about strengthening how our commission can be engaged and help with the impact of what we're doing. So as commission members, your role is to advocate and support the department's efforts in the community. And staying informed about our initiative allows us all to be more effective in those efforts. So we just feel there's been a lack of awareness in initiatives. We've had instances where commission members have expressed to our speakers that they were unaware of programs or opportunities, that they had been in previously in staff reports, featured in newsletters, promoted across social media, even discussed in past meetings. So, we even had a commission member ask about creating a newsletter, and we've been doing it for more than 4 years. So, just want to make people aware, like we're doing the best we can, but it highlights the need for greater engagement with the resources we're already providing. We have low engagement with existing communication channels. We recently noticed that one member unsubscribed from the newsletter. Only 3 out of the 7 members currently follow economic development on social media, and none actively engage with the content. Following us on social media and reading our newsletter isn't just about staying informed, it's about amplifying the efforts of the department and the efforts of the commission as well. So your engagement help extend the reach, foster the connections, and showcase the work that is being done. Simple ways to stay engaged and strengthen the impact: follow us on social media, stay updated and share our efforts, read the newsletter to stay informed on key programs, fundings, opportunities, and department updates, review the meetings materials and staff reports to reinforce key information, and then engage with the content, like, share, and comment. That just helps expand the reach. With the algorithms, that's really important, or otherwise it doesn't get shared. So, as leaders, we just need to set the example by staying informed and actively supporting the mission. Increased engagement ensures that we're all aligned in our efforts and we can effectively advocate for economic and tourism development growth. And if anybody needs help with any of that, we're happy to help.
I just want to say that I'm just not on social media that much. It's not personal. It's just that I don't do it that much. I have very few people I follow, very few contacts that I look at on a regular basis, because I've gotten so discouraged with it in general that I'm just trying to
appreciate that.
calm my brain down. It's not personal that we don't like you.
I do as well, but
we'll
there's
try to
other
do
ways.
better.
There's newsletters, there's staff
I
reports.
read your newsletter
there's-
all the time, but you don't know that because, I don't.
Well, we can tell. We can tell who opened.
Oh,
We
okay.
can tell who clicked. We can tell who unsubscribed. So we can tell, so.
We're going to get stars if we read it.
No, I don't think that's
I'm
necessary.
just teasing.
We're just trying, we are trying all these different methods to communicate and push out the information. And I feel like and I know it's a lot, and it's a lot to retain, but we are making the effort. So, did we pass out the two most recent newsletters? Okay, so these are the two most recent newsletters. So if you're not getting them in your inbox, we can certainly try to help figure out why.
Can I get copies?
Huh?
I don't have a packet for the meeting.
Say that again? Oh,
You should have a packet. There should have been 5 packets up there.
Oh, maybe I got yours because I moved seats. Here you go.
oh, there you go. Sorry, Paula.
Thank you, no problem.
Yeah, I think that covers everything for staff report.
Sounds good. Unfinished business, the summary report of the BRE.
Yep.
And I'll just comment, I think, hearing from Aaron, and I know it's a year delayed, right? But again, to overlay some of those statistics,
Yep.
might help us color, the commentary we've gotten as well.
Well, I feel like, just from the conversation today and, everything when I went through all of the, it's the 5 pages, 6
Yeah.
pages? 6 pages. So the next 6 pages of your packet, oh, that is one thing I did need to mention. So you guys know that we're moving from the Novus Agenda software to Civic Plus. So make sure you do sign up and get engaged. And actually, it was nice that we were able to do the packet like this with the minutes and everything in it and send you guys a complete package of everything that went with it. So we're going to try to do that, do more of that moving forward. We haven't quite figured out how to make some of the items public on the portal yet, but the Commissioner's Office is working through that. So right now, it's just packets for the commission members, but we're working on that. But I would say, Charlie, to your point, is that a lot of the, like when they talked about the obstacles, they're in here. So it's not, I just want to say it's not unknown. Like, we know these are the challenges. We continue to hear these. I've been doing this for 14 years now, visiting businesses, and I hear it. This is what I hear. So I don't know if there's any questions about the survey. And I will share that of the 8 that we visited, Katie and I have already been back out to 2 of them for different reasons. So, a lot of our business visit has to do with need. Somebody calls us and they need something, so we go out there and visit with them and, talk about how we can help them with their initiatives. So, any questions on the survey answers themselves? And we're going to try to, obviously, move forward and do more of these. We really want to integrate the business profile data and the results into HubSpot. We have had some challenges doing that. And it comes down to time, just getting the time to sit down and figure it out. But we'd like to do, as a target, to have 3 to 5 in-person interviews each month. That's going to be a little hard over the next couple months with budget and legislation, but in the summertime, it'll be a little bit easier. So, and aim for approximately 50% online. So we're also trying to figure out how we can get people to respond online so that we can collect even more data.
Sounds good. The,
Yep.
the integration with HubSpot, I was sort of thinking about next steps and how we'll boil some of this stuff down or extract data. That'll help. I don't know how, I know we use it at our business, but I don't use it personally. So that'll help extract that data and we'll be able to
Absolutely.
pull some commonalities and things like that.
Yep, so that if you're looking at business challenges, what we'd like to be able to do is you say, you want the business challenges question spit out, it can print out like, you visited these 50 businesses and these are the ones that mentioned the challenges, here they are. that kind
And
of,
it groups them, or is it,
groups them.
yeah, so when are we gonna get the hotspot thing?
Hotspot.
When you say, it says Jennifer from HubSpot, sorry.
We have HubSpot. I do not have an answer as to when we can have it
Just wondered if we
integrated.
should put this on hold until that happens, or should we do?
No, we're visiting businesses all the
No,
time.
I mean summarizing, like pulling out regulation, questions that say regulation, for example, you know what I'm saying? Like you've got 8 businesses, and one of the topics Aaron said this issue is regulation. Well, can we go in and find out which businesses have the regulation issue, maybe get a better understanding of what they meant, or?
Well, we know what the regulation issues are. I can't tell you that Business ABC
Okay.
had a regulation issue with. That's confidential. I can't share
Yeah,
that.
I don't want any confidence, I just want a trend. I just
Yeah.
want to, is it
Yeah.
planning, is it, whatever, tax
Right.
form, or whatever regulation, can we do anything about it, I guess is my question.
Well, and you
then,
can read the answers here.
I did, but I
Okay.
didn't put them all together to come up with a trend. I've
Gotcha.
got 8 of them, and I read them all,
Well,
but I didn't go back and
There's some
chart.
trends in there.
Yeah, but I didn't, I mean, what are we gonna do with that? When we get the trends, then,
I think for the HubSpot, probably that, well, you said there's some work to be done to implement it.
To get it to integrate.
It's probably better to do that after we have more
that's what,
businesses.
yeah,
just
okay,
that's-
all right, I get that then, okay, sure.
But I think anecdotally, and we can talk offline about what we think some of those challenges are. I think they're in that confidential information, but we can talk about it. I think.
I don't mean to bring it up.
No,
I'm
I
not
have
doing
some
anything,
ideas.
I just
Yeah,
wanted
yeah.
to know, if that's a big issue, then, is there anything we can do to help?
Yeah, right. Okay,
Yeah.
great, thanks.
So let's just summarize then. Our next step is just to do some more, sign up when we can to the interviews.
You're right, I think you said you were gonna be sending out, so as they come up, members could join for visits.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, as they come up.
It's a timing issue.
No, I know,
'cause-
but
yeah,
that's our
so,
next
but
step. I'm just going through the.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah.
Okay. Can I move on to new business? The 2025 priorities. So, I appreciate everybody sending those. My intent here, and we can discuss how we might want to use these, but my intent really was to gather everyone's, feedback, perspective, see where everyone, where your interests lie and priorities lie personally, and then see where the commonalities exist. And then, it goes to, I think, we were talking about the structure of meetings going forward and how many speakers should we have per meeting and efficiencies. And I was thinking, we have a strategic plan, of course, but it's rather large. And to be able to boil this down to, again, whatever the set number is, it doesn't have to be a set number, but those common priorities, and we can maybe have a speaker that aligns with some of those priorities in a meeting, have some time for discussion if we think that would be valuable, and to maybe, say an example might be broadband or fiber. It's in our strategic plan as something we want to advertise, that we have that, and to bring businesses here or advertise our capabilities. But I don't know exactly where that, the extent of that, where does it exist, and, what are the capabilities to be able to advertise it? And so a speaker like Scott Boone, for example, right, might be someone who could come speak to that, and then maybe we could have a discussion that correlates with that. But I took everyone's, and Paula helped me, we took everyone's ideas and tried to consolidate them into a list where things were mentioned maybe more than once. And it's certainly not 3 to 5 in each category, but economic development, with business retention, business attraction, those main categories that we have, and I think it's the last page.
Yeah, it's 22. Pages,
Well, no, maybe not the last page.
10 was Charlie's memo, and then 11 through 21 was each individual's responses, and then 22 is the consolidated report from Charlie. And as we have discussion, Rose is going to make
Yeah,
changes to that based on what you guys want changed,
it's page, yeah,
or
page
updated, or whatever.
22 of 22. Economic development is in bold. Tourism should have been in bold to kind of balance the two sides of our commission there. But, yeah, just trying to categorize things and put like with like. So I don't know if anybody has any comments about anything that I missed, should be added, should be taken off. But I was thinking about this again in terms of structure of meetings going forward. How does everyone feel about about having some discussion time, coming with some ideas, thoughts, questions? Maybe if there are questions for staff about what our existing efforts are, they can be provided in advance so that the staff has time to have that information ready for that discussion. Any thoughts?
Do you think it would help if we talked about the speakers,
go-
like, now to
Yeah, I
kind
think
of-
maybe we could
Do you
take
think
that
that
off.
would help?
Or we could go through the,
Well, it might,
Okay.
but I think if we went through the.
Go through the list?
The last page,
Oh, no, page 22.
it's on the back.
Oh, got it now.
Got it on the back.
Yeah, okay, yeah, sorry.
If we go through that, I mean, there are some things on the list that I think we're gonna have to address, or Jamie and the staff are gonna have to address relative to developing the budget request, which is coming right up, and I think that it would be good to have input from the commission on those things, and if those are priorities and things we wanna have addressed in the budget. Then the other thing is speakers for the future. What other information do we want to glean so that we can have productive dialogue here on the commission
Right.
about activities, projects, whatever, going forward?
sure. Do you want to at least let us know what the proposed speakers are for the next few meetings?
yeah,
And
if you want me
then
to
we
do
could,
that. Okay.
maybe that would inform us and we could go through this list.
So for March, we have confirmed Susan O'Neill to talk about the business mentoring program and the CT liaison coordinator position. Now, she doesn't need to do that. We have talked about that before, but that is something you guys mentioned you wanted to hear. But if it's okay, that's not a priority right now, we could change or move that. The other one I would not recommend changing is Cindy Genther, if she has the real estate review for 2024, and I think that's really important for us to hear every year.
Is that going to be in March as well?
That's in March. So if we want to just keep Cindy and I can move, I'm getting some nods. Am I getting other nods?
Yeah, I think the real estate is interesting. Does she, I don't recall if she does just residential or commercial as well?
She does commercial as well. She is actually one of the few commercial brokers we have in Kent County. She also works for,
Rockall Real Estate.
yeah, but what's the? Flynn.
Oh, right.
Flynn and
Yep.
Company, so.
And I
yeah.
ran into her at a meeting the other day, and she's busily gathering information to
Right.
share with us.
Great.
Thank you, Paul. And then the next one, Zach Royston, I just got an email from him today. He was confirmed, but he needs to move because he got called to a meeting on April 9th he has to attend. So I will have to reschedule him. And then I had Greg Bartow for May. Again, it's just about services provided by the SBDC. He has not confirmed, so we can take that one off the table unless there's a
SBDC, sorry.
Small Business Development
Okay,
Center.
SBDC.
They, again, another free resource for technical assistance, business plans, projections, startups, and currently operating businesses that have a need to grow. So,
SBA type stuff.
and SBDC is through the SBA, so yes. Yep.
Are they a sponsor, SBA affiliated with the Start One Up, that pitch?
They are coming, SBDC and SBA together are coming to do a speed connections so that they can have some lenders there. I should be reaching out.
We also had them as a vendor last year, too. They
Yes.
were-
Yeah, and they have a table.
It's wonder if pairing them with some feedback about how that event went. I don't know if there's some way to do that in the future. Just trying to thematically group speaker with discussion.
Have some synergy.
Yeah.
I recommend that we attend that if possible, too, because it was really good.
Thank
I
you.
really liked it. I thought the panels were good, and all the applicants were inspirational, and it was really well done, and
Got some interest from Chesapeake College, which I'm really happy this year.
What was that
So
now?
it's Chesapeake College students.
Oh,
So,
cool.
yeah, working with the Kathy Rust, she's their business lead for the department, and she's got a couple students that are probably going to apply to pitch. It's really good, so,
Going to apply to, I'm sorry.
to pitch at the pitch competition. So they fill out an application, it's multi-counties, and then probably the Upper Shore help us score them. And then you pick 10 of the best that actually get to pitch.
And if they win, they get,
The winner gets $4,000 and the runner-up gets $1,500. And that is one of the questions on the application, what would you do if you won to help advance your business? So, yeah.
but do the banks then attend that to,
So SBDC and SBA
Right.
should be contacting the banks.
Right.
We specifically asked for them to contact People's Bank and Chesapeake Bank and Trust.
right,
Yep.
local bank representation would be good.
Rebecca from Queen Anne's County is working on that, so we'll follow up with her. We have a meeting on Friday, so hopefully we'll have some updates by then.
Okay, thank you. So, I guess,
A point from the peanut gallery.
yes,
We have a long list of speakers, and that's great, but limited time to deal with them during our meetings. We may want to think about having just one speaker and then our discussions tie in with that speaker, so that we can cover that information adequately for our own purposes. It doubles the amount of time if we're trying to get two speakers at every meeting, but it's balanced against the quality of those conversations. Aaron took what, 35, 40 minutes?
right.
All good stuff, but it leaves us precious little time to do the rest of our business.
Right, and
Just-
sorry, Dick, that's my thought too, I think. Was,
But this discussion's been had before. We said we didn't want any speakers, then we said one, then we said we don't care if we have two. So that's why, so for the next meeting in March, we might as well go ahead and do it now. Everyone that votes for Cindy Genther to speak and do it, I'd like to have a motion and a second and a unanimous decision on the agenda.
I move that we invite Cindy to be our speaker for the month of March.
I'll second.
Thank you.
all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you. So the idea, we can go through this, section by section if we want, or certainly everyone can take time to look at it before the next meeting, but these areas, Paul, you were going to say something? You sounded like,
No,
oh,
no.
sorry. Another example might be, I would like to understand the regulatory limits on growth due to the water and sewer allocations.
Yep, that's been brought up before,
And it has been,
right?
right. And I know that Jamie and I have talked about our Director of Public Works, is that his title?
Yeah, Dan Manson.
Yeah, right. Maybe as a speaker to explain that. So that's the goal, that's my goal here. Any feedback?
I think that's a great idea.
Okay.
So is that somebody you want me to try to get into April, since Zach is out?
That'd be great.
That
Okay.
would be great, and I would suggest that when you ask him to be a speaker, that you ask him to address that particular issue.
Right, just to.
Water and sewer capacity.
Capacity allocation, expansion, whatever their plan is, and how that would affect approval for growth.
If he cannot attend April, is it okay for me to move Zach to May, who's the president of the, Vice President, University of Maryland?
Health,
Say that again?
health system?
Yes, sorry. And then, I just want to give him a couple options, because if I say May 9th and he's already tied up.
Well, I think.
Who else would you like in April? I have to move Zach because he's got a commitment. I'm not sure if Dan will be available. Who would be your second person?
We're only gonna have one per meeting.
No,
right?
who would be your second option if Dan can't do it? Who do you want me to contact? Or do we want to leave it open?
It depends what topic we, want to address. I mean, I suggested Scott Boone at some point, maybe it might be someone.
Who's the fiber
I can
and
ask, that's Scott.
internet
That's what he just said.
Talkie, oh, for the county?
Yeah.
Scott, that's Scott.
Okay. I mean, are those two like high priorities, start working on them to come in and tell you where we're at with those things? Okay,
Now, the other thing
That
I would
helps.
add with Cindy,
Uh-huh.
I think she could be a very good person to address the affordable housing issue. What's happening with first-time buyers?
She does that anyhow, right?
Not necessarily. She's very, statistics oriented. And I'm looking for more of I'd appreciate hearing from her as a practitioner what the qualitative side of the equation is. How difficult has it been for first-time home buyers? How about people looking for rentals who are being hired, who are coming here from out of town? Can they find rentals? Those sorts of questions. What are the real estate-related challenges for people who are looking at Kent County as a residence and as a place to open a business?
And I don't know if there's anything, Jamie, that you and your staff could share about, at that meeting, about potential developers or anybody that's interested. I don't know if there will be any news by that point that's public or not, but
I don't know what specific you're looking for, but I can think about it.
Kennedyville or,
I could share Kennedyville update now.
okay?
Village of Kennedyville, they're working on the Public Works Agreement. It's been reviewed by the county attorney, be coming before the county commissioners at their next meeting. Then it needs to be advertised for 30 days, and then developers, builders can submit letters of intent to do that. So we're probably looking at another 2 to 3 months.
Okay.
So,
They have had several developers express interest, right?
2.
That's what I thought.
I've had other calls, but only 2 really put something forward towards the end. Lots of people asked a lot of questions, so had lots of inquiries, but only 2 really followed through.
How about the Millington development?
Broke ground, there's silt fence up, there's machines up there working, so the senior development is in progress.
What
They're
about
working on
the bigger project?
which one? There's several in,
Millington Crossroads or whatever it's called.
Russ's.
Russ's.
nothing's really happened on that. I don't think there's been any progress there. So,
They gave a presentation to the Planning Commission
I attended.
about the project that I thought was really informative and interesting. Talked about, the whole concept of how the project would come together and be integrated in terms of residences and businesses and that sort of thing. I don't know if they'd be willing to do it for us just as an additional information item, but it was very well done, and it was also sort of eye-opening in terms of the concepts and where they were taking it. And if you haven't had, any exposure to smart development per se, it's a worthwhile
Put it on the list for
exercise.
the future. It looks like we're probably like June
That's
or after.
online. That would be available from the commissioners' meeting.
Correct?
The
Correct.
commission's
Could
meeting,
go
so you
back
could
and
look
listen to it.
Yeah,
Good
just
point.
if people
Yeah.
who missed it.
So, and along those lines of smart growth, I know we've had him before, but, Owen Bailey, from Eastern Shoreline Conservancy, I know he's with what used to be their Center for Towns, now it's something else. He corrected me and told me, but I can't remember the name. But, working with municipalities to direct development towards our municipalities, and, he might be someone interesting while we're on that theme at some point in the future, so, just ideas.
Got it.
Any other thoughts on this, or we'll just table it for further discussion? in the future?
Ongoing.
Yeah, sure,
Yeah.
sure. Okay. Any future agenda items? I guess we just talked about that.
Yes.
Public comments? We had a visitor who is no longer here.
Oh, yeah, do you know who that was?
Was Brooke Hayward.
Who was it?
Brooke Hayward.
I don't know him, okay.
He's a Chestertown resident. He's on the board of the Sultana.
Thanks, Paula, I'll look him up. I'm always interested in who's interested, you know, like who shows up, so that's, yeah, I would have talked to him if I had had time. That's good.
Anything else before we?
Just one comment from afar. It's not the same attending virtually as interrupting discussion in person. And I think to all of us, we should make every attempt to be at every meeting. And, you know, that's singing to the choir. But the reality is the depth and value of our discussion is in person. And we've had a good meeting today, but I feel afar, left
Disjointed.
out. That's yeah, and that's my fault. But my point is, let's all keep making all the meetings, and Jamie will be sure there's enough chairs for all of us.
Sure, we miss you, Dick.
But thank you for joining us online.
Yeah, no problem.
It's the next best
it's-
thing.
It's an out of body experience, but here I am.
All right,
Okay.
motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Aye.
Judy and Judy, thank you. Yeah, anything you hear like that, David.